build anything off this. Oh, hey, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made a perfectly flat workbench surface. It's a torsion box design. It's very durable, strong, and long-lasting. And it's going to replace this piece. It's also going to be portable, so I can move it around in my small shop because I don't have a dedicated space to just take up the whole area. So, hope you learned something. Stay tuned.
First things first, let's bust out our tape measure and figure out what dimensions we ultimately want to build this thing to. I'm choosing 30 inches wide by 57 inches long. It'll fit my needs for any future projects I have planned in mind, but you know, you want to go as big as possible if you have the space. I unfortunately do not. So this is the torsion box design I came up with in SketchUp. SketchUp is really easy to use, it's very simple and intuitive, and best of all, it's free. And it's pretty powerful for free software. So I definitely recommend it, especially for any DIY or how-tos. And if you're just getting started building furniture, or if you're a seasoned veteran building furniture, this is definitely a good software to use. I'm using 1/2 inch MDF for basically everything in the box, other than the top, which is going to be 1/8 inch hardboard. I had a big box store pre-cut it for me so I could fit it into my car nicely, but now I have to cut it down to its final dimensions. I have to apologize here. For some reason, I forgot to hit the record button when I went to go make my cut. So now I've got the top and the bottom panels cut to the final dimensions. It's time to start cutting all the inner grid pieces. The design I ended up going with has the inner grid pieces all 3 inches tall. So I set my fence to that and I begin ripping the remaining pieces of the sheets. And take your time here when you're handling these things, especially on the table saw like mine. It's kind of small. You don't have a huge in-feed and out-feed table. It's very easy to make the cuts crooked if you're not careful. So once you have all the grid pieces for the torsion box ripped down to the 3 inch height, if you're going with my design it is, let's go ahead and cut them to length. Constructing the outer box between the panels, you're going to need 2 57 inch pieces and then 2 29 inch pieces. For the inner grid, you're going to need 4 56 inch pieces and 36 5.5 inch pieces. All the grid squares are going to be 5.5 inch by 5.5 inch. And I'll show you more in detail later in the video. In the meantime, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment down below. I greatly appreciate the feedback. If you enjoy these videos and you want me to keep making them, if you'd like me to make something different, then let me know in the comment section what I can do better. Thanks. Now back to the video. At this point, if you're still watching, hopefully, you're probably wondering why I have Unistrut laid across my bench here. Well, the reason for that is Unistrut is very straight and very flat, and it's very consistent from piece to piece. And I'm using these to build a base to get a true flat and level surface to begin building the box off of. So really take your time here. You don't have to use Unistrut. You can use something else that's truly flat and straight. Just, you have to be able to verify that it is. If you have access to a jointer, you can joint down some 2x4s or other scraps of wood to start building the torsion box off of. But as you can see here, I'm just going around and I'm shimmying everything up to get it perfectly flat and level across both the width and the length of the piece. Just take various intervals and make sure you're staying level in both directions. Alright, let's get to it. Let's start building this thing. So I built the box first for the grid, starting with this long end here. Just get a nice bead of glue on the panel itself and then on also the long piece itself. That way you're not starving one or the other. The good thing about working with MDF and glue is that it dries very quickly. It really sucks up that glue. That can also be a bad thing if you're not prepared to deal with any changes that you may need to make very quickly. Luckily, we planned this all out ahead of time, so we know what we're doing going in. As you can see, I don't have a whole lot of clamps this size. It's definitely an upgrade I need to make to the shop in the future, amongst many other upgrades I need to make. But for now, I'll work with what I have. The good thing with the MDF, like I mentioned, is that the glue sets so fast, I can just remove the previous clamps and keep moving on down the line. Once you have the frame built, go ahead and start laying out the long inner pieces of the grid. Using one of the 36 5.5 inch pieces we cut, use that as a spacer. That way you can get consistent, even spacing all the way around. So, for this last row, I actually had to hand measure and cut each one individually. Since the spacing doesn't work out that it's 5.5 inches, some of them were actually 4 7/8, some were 4 3/4. This is due to the fact that across the whole width, you're going to have slight variations, like an eighth or a 16th of an inch. At this point, just grab your sander and touch up the tops. Get any dried glue or any slight imperfections from piece to piece. Now let's get the top on. We're going to dry fit it at first, just to make sure everything lines up the way we want it. Once you're satisfied and everything looks good, go ahead and just gently clamp everything down, get it all nice and flush, and start driving in some finished nails. You're going to want to mark where you have all of the different pieces, that way you're going to be contacting something solid when you nail it in. To finish the top, just drive in a couple of screws here and there, just to get everything pulled down tightly, and make sure that none of this is going to walk back out through the nails. You definitely don't need too many screws here. I just put in 3 or 4, usually around the corner areas to be safe. As you can see, we just put the hardboard top on. The project is finally coming to a conclusion. What a huge difference. My old table had almost 1/4 inch of a bow in the middle of the table. Here, this new table has maybe a 32nd, if not less.
So there you go. Now we got a flat worktop. A little tedious at times, but not too bad all in all. It took me about a day and a half. I had to go get some more materials, but really, you can do this over a weekend. And once you have it built, that's it. It's long lasting and durable, and makes building projects or doing anything assembly wise or flattening things out so much simpler going forward. So if you've made it all the way to the end of the video, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind hitting the thumbs up and subscribe, especially if you want to see more content in the future. So thanks again for watching. Take care. I don't think I'd ever be this happy to see a flat worktop surface.